Hey everyone, I'm Harry Collins, and today I want to talk to you about what it's like to go on a luxury safari in Africa. So I had actually won the Greatest Maasai Mara Photographer of the Year competition for 2021, and the prize was some cash and a safari at Angama Mara in the Mara Triangle. My photo of the lion that was hunting a hippo was chosen as the winner out of more than 1,000 entries in the competition. And when I started looking up the lodge where the prize was for, and I saw the rates for what it cost to stay here, I kind of thought maybe this was too good to believe. But now that I've been there and come home, I found out it certainly wasn't, and it was a tremendous honor to not only win the competition but to be able to go over there to visit. So let's talk about the trip. I flew out of JFK in New York. It was about a 14-hour flight, give or take. Once we landed, we were picked up at the airport, and it was about a 30-minute drive over to Wilson Airport, which is a smaller airport, where I got on the smallest plane I've ever been on in my life, probably. From there, it's about a 50-minute flight until you land on an airstrip in the Maasai Mara. We were picked up by our guide, Ellie, in a Land Cruiser and transported from there, which is, again, about a 40-minute drive back to Angama Mara. Once we arrived at Angama, we were taken to our tent, and I use the word tent pretty loosely. This definitely is not like a normal going camping tent. It's as luxurious as it gets. The views here are pretty awesome. The rooms are high up on the escarpment above the Mara Plains, so the wildlife is kind of way down below you. Our room had a double sink, bathtub, toilet, shower, with running water, so that was nice. We didn't have to go any outside showers or any kind of shared facilities or anything like that. And lastly, we had a fully stocked fridge with soda, wine, coffee, and then they even provided gin and whiskey if you're into that. Up next, we have the main lodge. This is the lounge area, fully stocked bar, seating areas, dining inside and out. This is where you have most of your meals at. There's also a nice outside fire pit seating area. We would mostly just come here to get coffee in the morning before heading out. Just a short walk up from the lounge, there's a store here that has handcrafted clothing, shoes, jewelry, hats, all that kind of stuff. And then there's a room in the back where you can actually make your own beading jewelry or whatever with the local Maasai women. Next to the store, we have the pool, which also shares the same beautiful view down over the Mara Plains. And right next to the pool, we have the fitness center. There's also a map room. This was a pretty neat room. It had a lot of history of the area, old photos, maps of animal migrations. But the coolest part was the centerpiece, or the main wall here that had a giant map on it with movable animals where all the guides can post where they last saw all the different types of animals. And last, we have my favorite room, which is the photo studio. As soon as you walk in, you see all the past winners, the photo contests, including my photo. In here, there's also some very knowledgeable people about photography, as well as you can rent cameras. So if you want to learn, these guys will rent you equipment and teach you how to use it. And they also have some computers where you can edit your photos, or even get editing lessons as well. So let's talk about a typical day. I want it to be out as early as possible. The gates don't open until a certain time, so we would be there right as they were opening. Try to be the first ones down. I was always racing the sunrise so I could try to get some silhouette photos like these. My main goal was to get any kind of cats we could get. They're always my number one target, especially the lions. They're just a lot of fun to watch and photograph. We were lucky to see this pride. They had just finished eating a buffalo and they were on their way to the shade. It was pretty hot out, so they were gonna go rest for the day in the cover of the trees. One of the mornings we had a really special sighting. We had a lioness that had 3 cubs. She had them tucked in pretty well. So, this was the best view we could get. Little did we know the next day when we came back, the pride would be on the move and we got to see all of them out in the open. So that was definitely a really special moment. The goal is always to find the lions as early in the day as you can. If you don't get them quick enough, you're more likely just to see them sleeping. They can sleep up to 20 hours a day. So because all the action happens early, I opted to not have breakfast at the lodge, and after things kind of slowed down and later in the morning, we would have a mid-morning breakfast out in the field, which was a nice experience as well. After breakfast, we headed over to the Mara River. I did a little bit of filming of the hippos here. The hippos always crack me up because they live in these big family groups and, they're together all day, but it just never seems like they get along. They're always fighting with each other. But typical family, right? At the end of the day, we headed back up to the lodge, and we were treated to a sundowner, which is where we had drinks and a little bit of food while we watched the Maasai tribe came out and did some of their ceremonial dances for us. So that was pretty cool. Every morning when we would first go out, as I mentioned, cats, lions, leopards, cheetah, whatever, they were always my main goal. But this one particular morning, it just seemed to be an elephant kind of day. It was everywhere we went, there was elephants. We couldn't really get away from them. But that's okay, they're fun to photograph too. This was kind of a cool sighting as the elephant herd made their way down to take a drink. It was a good time to be in the Mara. I didn't really realize it before I headed here, but it was baby season for the elephants, and there was lots of baby elephants, a lot of 1 week old, little guys running around, and they were just a lot of fun to watch. They're so playful and very photogenic. As fun as the baby elephants were, nothing gets me more excited than seeing the leopards. They're definitely my favorite animal here, so I was fortunate enough to see a couple of them. Even got to see one attempt to hunt anyway. It was stalking some gazelles, but eventually gave up. But I was still able to get a lot of nice photos and videos regardless. Probably the best sighting that we had was this mother cheetah and her 3 cubs. They posed nicely up on a termite mound for us, and I was able to get a few photos where they were all looking, which was awesome. The little guys were very playful. The ranger did actually make us back up because apparently the cubs like to go underneath of the vehicles, and they've been having a hard time keeping them out from underneath the tour vehicles. So they did back us up, but that's okay. We were still able to get tons of great photos and videos, and this was a short sighting, but a great one. One of the evenings on the way back to the lodge, our guide dropped us off at a different location where we had a dinner outside by firelight. And since I'm talking about food, I'll just show you a couple quick examples of just a couple of the meals that we had here. I could have done a whole video just on the amount of food that they give you at this place. You're definitely not going to lose weight here. You sit around all week and eat and drive around and see animals, so doesn't get a lot better than that. We did have a couple of short rainstorms. I actually would have preferred if we had more. Photographing and videoing animals in the rain is one of my favorite conditions. It just makes everything a little bit more animated. The animals shake off and just looks so much more dramatic. But unfortunately, we only had a couple quick storms. We saw this lioness on a couple different occasions. She was hunting for herself. We were told that she has a couple of very young cubs that she hasn't brought out yet, so she's pretty much just hunting for herself to sustain herself to be able to nurse her cubs. But unfortunately, she wasn't successful in the couple hunts that we saw. One of the really nice surprises that we had was some of the wildebeest and zebra herds had made their way back. This time of year, the whole Great Migration is usually over and the herds are out of the area, but the weather has been kind of screwed up, and the wildebeest are going back and forth, following the rain, searching for green grass, and they're a little bit confused, so it kind of worked out for us. At least we got to see them again. It's hard to describe just to see the sheer numbers of these animals in person. Over 1.5 million wildebeests make their way through the Mara, going to the Serengeti and vice versa. So there's a tremendous amount of zebra and wildebeest running around here. On our final morning, we did one last game drive before being dropped back off at the lodge, where we did a walking safari with the naturalists from the Maasai tribe. We had a really cool sighting where we got to see a giraffe nursery where they leave their young while the adults go down into the park to drink. After the walking safari, we had a private lunch in the garden, which, again, like everything else, was an awesome experience. It was really neat. It was a good way to end the trip before we went back to pack. Sadly, after lunch, we were brought back to the airstrip, where we took the 50-minute flight back to Nairobi, again, where we were picked up and taken back to the Nairobi airport. And it was really hard to say goodbye to this trip. It was a great one.